Hi, Deb.
Hi, Dean.
Welcome. Hi. So tell folks a little bit about you, and then I'm going to have Pete introduce himself, and then I've got some questions for both of you as CEOs and founders and leaders of fractional companies instead of individual solopreneurs. This is who I usually talk to.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on your
Yeah.
podcast. I'm Deb Andrews. I'm founder and president of Marketree. We are a fractional marketing company, a virtual company founded in 2004.
And Pete, you're with a little company that hardly anyone in the fractional world has heard of. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Pete Hayes. I'm the co-principal of Chief Outsiders, and we lit this up in 2009 with my partner Art Saxby, based here in Austin, Texas. And it's good to see you and Deb today.
Good to see you guys. And also, it happens from time to time, and when it does, I go ahead with a disclosure. Chief Outsiders, I've done multiple paid projects for Chief Outsiders, so Pete's not here because of that. Pete's here because of who he is and what Chief Outsiders is. But just to disclose, there is sort of a commercial relationship there. So, Deb, I want to start in on this. It's been a crazy 5 years economically, pandemically, AI-ly. And so, what trends are you seeing like now and sort of unrolling, you think, for the next 12 months or so about in the whole demand for fractional executives?
I see the demand growing for fractional executives. I think number one, it's become a mature market, thanks in part to Chief Outsiders establishing the term so long ago, and the field has continued to grow and mature. I do think anytime there's uncertainty, there's a hesitancy around hiring, full-time hiring,
Right.
and people still need more than ever the expertise of fractional CMOs, fractional executives. And so I think given the uncertainty of the times, AI, new administration, all of that, that's trending upward.
All right. And keep
Plus
Pete, what do
one.
you think? How's the demand going?
I said plus one.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. The
The
time frame
yep.
you laid out, COVID was interesting because it legitimized remote work, even on an executive team. But there was a lot of change. And on the marketing side of things in particular, there were a lot of people that went through job changes, and a lot of people decided on the provider side, whether you're an executive or just a marketer, that, hey, I could work from home, or hey, I did work from home and I really like it. So kind of on both sides. And then as Deb has said, that maybe I'm not supposed to refer back to, then you can edit this out. But as Deb has said, that the uncertainty right now is unprecedented, and that just
Right.
further builds the market. Even though there's been, as I look at across our kind of our competitors, there's been a little bit of a flattening in terms of hiring levels. So I think we're
Right.
all kind of waiting. You ask about what's the trend. I think we're waiting for a trend. We thought that the election was going to do something, and then we thought, well, then there's the tariff thing was going to do something, and now we can just add a couple of more wars to that. So I think we're all waiting to kind of get to the other side of this current situation, right?
Right. Okay, Pete. So let's stick with you for a second then for the follow up on that, which is so what's sort of the hardest parts, like either traditionally or right now, for scaling up a
You
fractional
know, I,
business?
Business development is hard, I think, for everybody. And the reason is,
Right.
and if you think of us all as marketers, we're used to marketing anything to anybody. But in this particular case, the buyer is a CEO. And almost nobody comes in with that level of experience. And so the route to a CEO's attention is typically through someone that they already have trust with. It's not through some sort of cold connection. It's not because you've got a
Right.
great value proposition that sits on your website and they just discover you someday. Although 25% of our business does come from that. But I think that's the hardest part. And then the pieces that go with that are keeping your team around and happy. So the culture aspect is huge. And keeping your
Right.
clients for some period of time, which Marketree has done a fantastic job of, is adding value through a long period of that customer relationship.
All right. Deb, what has been the hardest part? of
I would say
scaling
I
up?
would lean more on the people side for me at Marketree is finding and retaining great talent. Great talent tends to get poached pretty easily. And so, making sure that we're hiring the right types of folks here that really enjoy variety, that enjoy pace to their work. Anytime you're working in a consultancy, you're going to have variety, you're going to have pace. And somebody that really likes a lot of change. Right now, I think we just talked a little bit about we've never seen such change, and some of that's fueled by macroeconomic factors, but a lot of it's being fueled right now by AI. And so, looking for talent too that is willing to lean into trends and be able to adapt to how work and work streams are changing. So for me, in terms of scaling, it's about finding that great talent and frankly investing in great talent. It doesn't come inexpensively. We are a private company. We don't have any debt or any funding in the company. So, we kind of have to build it brick by brick and make sure that we're,
Right.
saving for investing in talent in the future. So that's been the hardest part, I would say.
All right, so let's pivot a little bit. It is, as we record this, it's 3 p.m. on a Thursday. It's nothing special about today. It's not a particularly memorable Thursday. It's just a Thursday. And yet you're both here on a podcast. And here's my question about that. What sort of role does your own personal brand play these days? Or a CEO's, if you want to expand a little bit, a CEO's personal brand play in a company's visibility?
Okay, great.
Go ahead, Deb.
So I would say we've been around, Marketree's been around 21 years, and I would say my personal brand played a large
Right.
role in terms of business development, new client acquisition, retaining clients for about the first 15 years of the business. It was always
Right.
my goal not to have the business be about myself, which is why it's not Andrews and Company, it's Marketree. I would say it's changed in the last 6 or 7 years, and that we've grown our headcount. It's become a lot more about my team versus me. That said, I think being active with thought leadership, putting out information that's helpful to my audience, and staying active, especially on LinkedIn, supports our marketing effort and supports our brand. And certainly being on podcasts like yours, Dean, I think gives visibility and certainly gives people a peek at what they might see if they do business with Marketree. So it's helpful.
All right.
Yeah.
Pete, how about you? How's your personal brand and Chief Outsider's
Yeah, I think
brand
both
tied together?
Deb and I are both here for the same reason. It's much more than anything else to help you. You have a great platform. You help a lot of people through decisions that they're making about their careers. I don't think I don't expect the people watching this particular program are folks that would reach out to hire either one of our firms. It might be people that maybe want to come join our firms, and maybe a little bit of both. But I think we want to be helpful, and if we can project that that's how we're wired, that's what companies are looking for. They want someone that has that, that perspective, that culture, that way about themselves, that they want to help others get things solved. And so that's why we're here.
So, Pete, did Chief Outsider sort of come out of the gate with the positioning and messaging that kind of clicked, or did you have to iterate through until you sort of found the angle that resonated?
But we're still
your market?
iterating. Yeah. And some of that.
Yeah.
Out the gate, the debate was, is it fractional? Is it virtual? Is it part-time?
Right.
And we got a lot of feedback from the market that said the last thing you want to call it is fractional, because who wants to buy something that's fractured? Right. And then you go, well, wait a minute. The CFO model's been around for, 15 years already at that point. You go, that doesn't seem to be a problem. And people kind of go, yeah, I guess maybe so. But the market just was even on what you call it. But to the point, when you're new in a category, and technology companies face this all the time, they have to be descriptive because people don't have any place to anchor it. So we spent a lot of our energy and messaging trying to be descriptive about, who we are and what we can do and the problems we can help solve. That's completely swung to the other side now. The other side is being differentiating. We didn't have to differentiate against anything other than maybe hiring full-time. But now we have to differentiate against competitors, single shingles, and so forth. So it's been quite a journey.
All right, that makes sense. And Deb, how about Marketry? Did you guys sort of luck into the exact right positioning
Yeah.
and it just clicked? Or has it been
It
sort
has
of
been a
a
process,
process?
very similar process to Pete. We started off as outsourced marketing. That was kind of the term that I think of because we wanted to be the marketing department that wasn't in-house. I think there were some connotations with regard to outsourcing, offshoring, a little bit of confusion around that. And I have to thank Pete and Chief Outsiders for sort of paving the way in the fractional world, because through their work in sort of building that category, we were able to sort of latch onto that category. And, our business is a little different in that we offer CMO, but we offer the execution of plans and tactical work as well, and measurement. So we basically go to market as fractional marketing services as opposed to just fractional CMO. But like having the fractional CMO, the familiarity with that term and fractional executives has been extremely helpful for us. So thank you, Chief Outsiders, for that.
Yeah.
I think everyone here can
Well,
legitimately say thank you, Chief Outsiders.
Yeah, I
Go with
mean,
that.
and we keep learning from each other, right? So Deb and her gang have been, I think, ahead of the game. The idea of being the fractional marketing full resource is something that we've admired, and we've only recently implemented with Team Outsiders. So I think they've had that that value proposition and that capability and that delivery for some time, and it's admirable. So
Deb, would you say that's how Marketry differentiates right now from other fractional firms?
Absolutely. Yes, we are equal parts strategy, execution, analytics, and optimization. So each one of those is a core competency. That says we don't have as many fractional CMOs as say a Chief Outsiders, but we have like teams of people that work on our accounts. So our clients usually hire us because they don't have an in-house marketing team. And I'll definitely let Pete speak to his ideal client profile, but I would suspect that maybe they have some marketing people on their staff perhaps. Ours typically don't, or they might have a marketing manager. So our ideal client profile is a little bit different than like a Chief Outsiders. And that is how we differentiate ourselves. We like to say that we're one point of contact, one point of accountability, and our clients really partner with us not for a project, they partner with us to grow. They have certain objectives they want to meet, and we're going to be their growth partner.
And Pete, how do you tell people that Chief Outsiders differentiates?
Well, from our own competitive insight work and study, we believe we have the richest roster of experience across industries and in terms of depth. Our folks have kind of ridiculous profiles of where they've been. Frankly, Deb and her partner have also kind of Chief Outsiders backgrounds. So that's to make a point of people that are actually doing it well, because as Deb and I both know, there are a number of firms, and certainly single shingles, that have no business calling themselves a fractional CMO, unless what they mean is their resume makes them a fraction of what a CMO could be. You'll see an event manager that is now a CMO. You'll see a creative director who is now a CMO. And so clients have to be aware that it's not that those individuals couldn't add value, but the term fractional CMO has been kind of ripped up in the past few years. So we differentiate on the depth of the experience of our people. But we also, since we've been around a while and we've had nice success, the fact that we've worked with about 2,500 clients now, a huge portion of that being private equity backed, that's maybe 5,000, almost 6,000 projects with those clients. And we do sometimes work on a project basis, even though we're most often sitting in the seat as the fractional marketing or sales leader. And then the methodology that we have, the growth gears, has just gotten tighter over the years. It was based on research with the university back in 2016 when we published the book. And now that platform is AI enabled. It is a software platform. We acquired a small AI company back in the fall, and we have a development team of about 7 people, and we're taking a lot of investment for the future, and we really want to be technology driven beyond just the great tools that we're all using in ChatGPT and such.
Right. All right. So let's pivot a little bit and talk about, especially since both companies have been around for a bit, client acquisition. Have there been any sort of methods for client acquisition or channels for client acquisition that may work for other companies, but just did not work for you? Let's start with Deb. Maybe social doesn't work for you, or cold, prospecting doesn't work, or email doesn't work, or
I would say the
something doesn't
one
work.
thing that definitely has not worked is when a client wants to get started on something small. They may come and say, oh, well, we're not sure about partnering with Marketree, and we're not sure about doing the strategy work up front. Let's just do like a short-term lead gen campaign. That flat out never works,
Right.
because usually they're the companies that haven't invested in marketing, and that's fine, but they're not really ready for outreach because their website doesn't really look the part. Their messaging is off. They don't have like the foundation that they're going to get some quick wins from a lead gen campaign. So early on, you're tempted by companies who want to build your client
Right.
base, and you take it on, and then you're like, why did I do that? So that does not work. Really
Yeah.
sticking to your model and trying to attract the types of clients that really resonates with is the right answer.
So it's almost the opposite of it's not a low threshold, it's an initial high threshold, just to make sure that you're only focusing on customers who are willing to step
That's
up with a
exactly
big
right.
commitment.
And you're going to have
Interesting.
them, you might not
Oh,
have a windfall of them every year, but once you get those right clients, they're going to be happy and satisfied. They're going to stay year over year.
all right, no, smart. And then Pete, how about Chief Outsiders? What hasn't worked that you guys don't really put much effort into anymore? You're refocused into
Yeah, and
other
it's
channels
interesting.
or
Deb
other
will run
approaches.
right into, she's already having a conversation, but don't get started with a kind of a
Yeah.
short-sheeted project. But in terms of getting additional opportunities, there's no magic mojo. I mean, social, I call it hygienic. You've got to have a presence. You do thought leadership, you do
Yeah.
inbound kinds of things. You do all that stuff, and you need to have that, but it's more of in the second or third step. It's all about relationships, who you know and who they know. You're not going to know your target client directly. They don't. Those relationships you have aren't the things that get you the business. It's those relationships, and then they know somebody. It's always referred in. So the things that we do digitally, and digital moves around, it's just unbelievable how, hey, LinkedIn works. Well, then it doesn't. Well, AdWords work. Well, then they don't. And
Yeah.
then it's all organic. Well, let's just make the big organic investment. And again, that's 25-30% of our business is inbound. So it matters a lot. But and then to almost counter what Deb just said, we will often not start on the, it kills you if you're just going to say, hey, here's an executional tactic that you can go help solve. But why waste your money? As she said, if your website's broken, your messaging is all out of whack, if you're not aligned with the realities of the marketplace. But we have found as a strategy, when it looks like a big apple bite, you're going to spend how many hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next year or 2 or 3? I mean, what is this going to look like? To get started with a small chunk. To say, well, let's not go too far too fast, because we really don't know. I mean, we've had a couple of conversations, but we always find out new things
Right.
on the first day. So let's break off a 6-week discovery project. We won't call it that typically. It'll be more of an assessment or an audit, and then bring back those insights so they can see. And maybe to that point is, gosh, yeah, we thought we had a top of funnel problem, but the reason we have a top of funnel problem is because our messaging is exactly like our competition, and nobody can differentiate. And you can bring that
Right.
that to light.
So Pete, when Chief Outsiders is talking to a prospective new client, what's a red flag that you would that would like perk up your antenna and say, these guys are either not ready for us, not right for us, or maybe not ready for any kind of fractional?
it comes right down to, are they, the red flag is, are they a jerk, right? Do they have all the answers? If
There
they
you
have
go.
all the answers, then they're not going to need you. If they have all the
Yeah.
answers, they're not interested in even data that's going to show them maybe they're going in the wrong direction. So, who's got time for somebody that isn't going to be interesting to work with? I just start and stop there.
And Deb, how about you? What's a red flag for
I have
a
to echo
marquetry prospect?
what Pete said. Get a gut
Yeah.
feel. Ultimately, your team has to be happy, the work has to be satisfying, and if you're working for somebody that you fundamentally don't care for, that makes it really tough to want to score wins. So I think that is really important factor. Um, I guess another red flag would be if they don't come to the prospect call at some point in time. Sometimes they'll have a manager do some vetting, but if they're at the process, they never engage or they never sit in on a meeting, and then we're just asked to flip a proposal over the fence. That tends to
Right.
work out very well. I think it's a signal that they're not really going to value marketing in the way that it should be valued.
I totally agree. That's a good point
That's
there.
fair. So, Deb, if you had to start over today, there's no marquetry, or marquetry's been sold or whatever, but there's no non-compete. You're going to start over. Would you do anything different starting today than how everything got started 20 years ago?
I think I would definitely focus more on the people within my business. I have always been so
Yeah.
client focused that I would say when I first started the business, even working through subcontractors and then a small team, I was very, very focused on the customer, not as much on the people side, even in terms of recruiting, finding the right people, nurturing them, building a team. And, that's not a good formula because ultimately those people are not the right people for the jobs or they leave. That's completely flipped today, where I spend 75% of my time really worrying about the people and making sure they're happy and they're satisfied and the capacity is where it needs to be and they're on great accounts and they have the right level of support, and still pay a lot of attention to the client. But what I found is that if you pay attention to the people, they're going to support and make sure that the clients are okay. So that's what I would change today.
Yeah, that's an interesting answer. And Pete, how about you? If it was going to start over again today, would it be like more software centric, or
I,
not going to change
yeah,
anything from how it started back in
there's,
2009?
you have to, there's all this learning, and you wouldn't,
Yeah.
you wouldn't trade the scar tissue for all the learnings and all the pain you've been through to get where you are. However, the center of our culture today, and at the end of the day, our client value is how much our
Right.
folks learn from each other. And it sounded like something that was just on paper on our mission statement, which our mission statement, by the way, Dean, you'd appreciate this, took a year and a half to develop using ourselves, right? We probably should have used you at the time, but it would have taken a week and a half. But it took a year and a half. And at the end of that statement, it says, surrounded by people they love to learn from. And with the national meetings that we have and our biweekly meetings that we have and our content sharing and all the Tiger teams we put together, people just love to trade their best practices, their client relation skills, how they use AI. They just love that sharing. And since we don't hire anybody that we don't like, everybody's nice to be around. And so they enjoy spending time with each other. They enjoy helping each other. They enjoy helping each other on each other's clients. So I think we would have gone harder into that. We actually have a chief learning officer that we didn't put into place except for 4.5 years ago. So that was a big deal. I think we would have gone harder and faster into that as our accelerant. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so this has been fantastic. Thank you. This has been so good. Very entertaining for me and really insightful. I have one more question for each of you. and this is your chance, okay? Especially around your differentiation. So, Pete, we'll start with you. Who should be contacting Chief Outsiders these days, and what's the best way to do
And
it?
are you asking about anybody or somebody who wants to be part of the company? A
Yeah,
prospective
prospective
client?
clients. Actually, if you want to get really prescriptive about it, who should be contacting Chief Outsiders these days to become a customer, and who should not? And how should the first group get to you?
The problems that we're listening for more than anything are just frustration
Right.
that there's a vision that the CEO and often the whole team has on what they should be doing, where they should be going, and they just don't think their organization is capable of getting there. So it's pain, it's frustration, and it can be at a pretty high level. However, sometimes people reach out and they say, I have a top of the funnel problem. They'll say, I need more leads.
Right.
And that can be a valuable discussion too, because you can help them understand, well, what does a good lead look like? And can you, are there other things to engineer, to Deb's point of, she will often say this, that, if it's just, I got to go fix something in a campaign when you don't have an opportunity to fix meaty things like messaging, like offerings, and
Right.
maybe even pricing and so forth. So we like to have that full conversation, but sometimes, you've got to earn your right to those. So that's the long answer. The short answer is companies with problems are just frustrated in solving. And right alongside that, and I just talked to a CEO today, companies making a complete pivot, getting out of products to ingredients and the industrial
Right.
side, and they just got to go to a whole new market, a whole new type of buyer, whole new customer journey, and they don't have the resources to do it. They don't have that experience, so they're going to get help.
Right. And chiefoutsiders.com.
Yeah, chiefoutsiders.com.
Start.
You can right through that process. You can look around and find people that you might want to work with. But most folks fill out the form. They get set up on our calendars right away, and they meet not with a salesperson, but with a managing partner in the firm. So you're jumping right in on the business to solve, how you're going to attack it.
All right. And Deb, who should be contacting Marketree these days, and who should not? And what's the best way to start?
Frustration, but probably for a little bit different reasons. So typically we work with lower middle market companies that have been doing marketing in some fashion. It could be scattershot or random acts of marketing. Maybe they have one or two people on their team. Maybe they have no one on their team. They've been working with other subcontractors and piecing them together. And they really want measurable outcomes from their marketing function. It's a really good type of client to reach out to us, because in a short period of time, we can assess what's going on in their business. We can create go-to-market strategies that ladder up to goals, and then we'll execute upon that, leveraging best practices that are infused with AI, that have a sense of speed, but not at the expense of quality, that can get them where they want to be in short order. And most of all is having those dashboards and measurable outcomes. Monitoring the KPIs on a monthly, quarterly basis tends to be music to the ears of a CEO or president that really hasn't had measurable outcomes from marketing. So those are the types that should reach out. And I would say really even larger organizations today that maybe are a little afraid that they're not AI forward, that they're not taking those baby steps towards creating an AI council, creating some best practices using AI. Maybe people are using it in different ways, but they're not operationalizing AI within their business to create efficiencies and outcomes. We're starting to do some consulting projects with companies that need more help on how to get started on that journey.
All right. And
Marketree.com. If you go on our website, there's plenty of little pictures of myself with a link to the calendar. So feel free to click and book directly with me.
We're back to CEO branding all over again. Gotcha. All right, both of you, thank you. This has been so fantastic. I really, really appreciate it. And for everyone who's watching, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.